Hello friends and welcome back to the course. In this section, we will discuss the very important and interesting topic of arrays. We will start by understanding the need of arrays in programming. Then we will look at some real-world examples to understand the utility of arrays in our day-to-day lives. With this basic understanding in place, we will move on to learn about the syntax and working of single-dimensional arrays in Java. After that, we will look at more advanced concepts of searching, sorting, and double-dimensional arrays. Let's dive into arrays. Variables are useful for keeping track of a single piece of information. But as we collect more and more information, keeping variables organized can be complicated. For example, what if you wanted to write a program to keep track of each student's marks in your class? Assuming there are 40 students in the class, you need to create 40 variables in this program. Suppose with a lot of hard work, you created these 40 variables and completed your program. Your principal was very impressed with your program and asked you to extend it so that it can keep track of the marks of all the students in the school. Now you are in big trouble. Creating hundreds and thousands of individual variables is impractical. Moreover, the total number of students in the school keeps changing as new students join and current students pass out of the school. So it is impossible to know ahead of time how many variables you will need. In such situations, we need arrays to solve these problems in a much better and efficient way. I showed you a problem that arises out of using variables when dealing with large sets of information and told you that the solution is to use arrays. The next obvious question you have is, what is an array? An array is a way of arranging things in rows and columns. In our day-to-day lives, we come across many things that are arranged as an array. Let's quickly look at few examples. This first example is that of a marching contingent. I am sure you would have also done march past or parade in your school as part of the physical training classes. In a marching contingent, soldiers are arranged in rows and columns, forming a rectangular or square-shaped contingent. It helps in organizing the contingent efficiently. In this next example, we see the popular Crocent tablets lined up in a foil blister pack to create an array. In warehouses, bags are stacked up in rows and columns forming arrays. For a gathering, chairs are usually arranged in rows and columns. From now on, whenever you will see things arranged in rows and columns, these examples will immediately remind you that they are organized as an array. Arrays are of two types: multidimensional arrays and single-dimensional arrays. In a multidimensional or n-dimensional array, items are arranged in two or more dimensions. Take the previous example of arrays we looked at. In each of these examples, the objects are arranged in two dimensions, that is, across rows and columns. Or we can also say that items are arranged across the x and y dimensions. We call them double-dimensional arrays or 2D arrays. Now consider a Rubik's Cube. In a Rubik's Cube, the colors are arranged across the three dimensions of the cube, that is, its length, breadth, and height, or x, y, and z dimensions. So this is an example of three-dimensional or 3D arrays. Theoretically, you can have even higher dimensional 4D, 5D, 6D arrays and so on. But beyond 3D arrays, it is very difficult to visualize them. In a single-dimensional array, items are arranged across only the x dimension. So a single-dimensional array has only a single row and one or more columns. A good example of a single-dimensional array is a queue of people. It has just one row and each person in the queue can be considered as a column. ICSE Computer Applications syllabus includes only single and double dimensional arrays. So we will limit our discussion to only these two types of arrays in this course. Now that we have a general idea about arrays, we will start understanding arrays from programming perspective. In this lesson, we will learn about how to declare and initialize a single-dimensional array and access each of its elements. You can think of a single-dimensional array as a row of numbered boxes. Each box can hold one item in it. Looking at it this way, we can say that an array is a group or a collection of same type of variables. You can have an array of int types, float types, char types, string types, and so on. Basically, you can create an array of any of the data types that Java provides, including both primitive and reference types. By rule, Java requires that all items in an array must be of the same type. An int array will always have all int values in it. A char array will have all char values in it, and so on. We cannot have an array in which the first box contains an int value, the second box contains a char value, third box contains a double value, fourth box contains a string value, and so on. You will get a compilation error for this. Java does not allow this, it will not work. We know how to declare and initialize variables. This statement declares an int variable a and assigns 5 to it. This is how we declare an int array ARR and initialize it with values from 1 to 6. In both cases, we start with the data type, then we write an identifier. We named our variable a and our array ARR. Like variable, name of array is also an identifier, and all the identifier naming rules which we learned in code blocks and tokens lesson apply to it. Then we have this pair of square brackets extra in case of arrays. This signifies that we are declaring an array variable, not a regular variable. We can place these square brackets at the end of the array name as shown here, or we can also place them between the data type and the array name like this. Both these statements are equivalent. You can use whichever way you like. Moving on, in the variable case, we assign a single value to a, as variables can hold only a single value. But to ARR, we assign an array which is a group of values. All the values in the array are separated by commas, and the entire array is enclosed within curly brackets. Now that we have seen this example, we can easily write the general syntax of declaring and initializing an array like this. Or, if we place square brackets between type and array variable, then like this. Here are a few examples of declaring and initializing arrays of different types. The first example shows an int array containing 5 elements. The next example is that of a double array containing 3 elements. This statement declares and initializes a char array named vowels containing the 5 vowels. The last example shows a string array containing 3 strings. The number of elements present in the array is called the size or length of the array. Size of ARR is 6 as there are 6 elements present in it. Size of consts is 3, vowels is 5, and fruits is 3. We now know how to declare and initialize an array. Next, let's look at how we can access the different elements of the array. Remember, I told you that you can think of an array as a row of numbered boxes. Taking our int array ARR as an example, let's visualize this array as a row of numbered boxes. To access an individual item from this array, write out the name of the array and the number of the box you want to access inside square brackets like this. This means give me the item in the array ARR sitting in box number 3. So it will give us this value 4. The term we use in Java to refer to these box numbers is index or subscript. So ARR3 means give me the item present at index 3 of the array ARR. The general syntax to access an individual element of an array is this. Taking our previous array ARR as an example, ARR0 gives 1, ARR1 gives 2, ARR2 gives 3, and so on. Notice that the first index in the array is 0. In programming, we start counting from 0, not 1. It means that value at index 0 is the first item of the array, value at index 1 is the second item of the array, value at index 2 is the third item of the array, and so on. Index of last element of the array is the length of the array minus 1. So, the index of the array ranges from 0 to length minus 1. We will use this a lot while accessing array elements within a loop. The fact that array index starts at 0 and not 1 is very important. Forgetting this is the most common mistake students make in arrays. In maths, you usually start counting from 1, so you are used to that. For example, to access the third element of this array, you will write this will give you the fourth element of the array and not third, as array index starts at 0. Index of each element of the array will be like this. Third element is at index 2, fourth element is at index 3, so ARR3 gives fourth element. Writing ARR3 when you want to access the third element of the array is incorrect. Don't make this mistake, otherwise you will lose marks. Third element is at index 2, so the correct way to access it is this. I will repeat this point many times in the course to make you remember. From your side, you also make a note of this. We learned that we can access an individual element of an array using this syntax. For example, we can access the second element of this array like this. ARR1 will give 2, the second element of the array. Here, this 1 inside the square brackets is called the subscript. This ARR is called subscripted variable, and this 2, which is the value present at the specified subscript, is called the subscripted value. So the definition of subscript is the index of the element in the array. Subscripted variable is the name of the array when it is used with a subscript to access a single element of the array. Subscripted value is the value of the element at that index. We have looked at a good number of array concepts. Let's now switch to BlueJ and practice them. This program prints the number of days in each month of the year using arrays. Let me execute it and get the output. Here we declare an int array month days. Each element of this array is the number of days present in the corresponding month. You can visualize this array like this. The first element 31 is the number of days in January. Second is the number of days in February, and so on. Next, we access each element of the array using its index to print the number of days in the corresponding month. So month days 0 gives us the first element 31. Month days 1 gives us the second element 28, month days 2 gives us the third element 31, and so on. Again, I want to remind you here that index of an array begins from 0 and goes on till length of array minus 1. Here, the indexes of month days array ranges from 0 to 11 as length of array month days is 12. Now that I mentioned length, let me show you how you can find the length of an array. Remember, length of the array and size of the array means the same thing. I will use length and size interchangeably. To get the length of the array, write the name of the array variable, then the dot operator, then length like this. This will give us the length of the array. Let me comment out these statements for the time being so that we can focus on length. I will execute the program now. We get the length of this array as 12 as there are 12 elements in the array. Next, let's see how we can access the elements of the array using a loop. I will uncomment these println statements. I don't like these 12 println statements as writing 12 of them is a lot of work. I want to do it in a shorter and simpler way. Notice these indexes of arrays are going from 0 to 11. If I run a for loop from 0 to 11, then I can use the loop control variable of this for loop as the index of the array. This way, I will be able to print all the elements of the array using a single print statement. Let me show it to you. The loop control variable I is initialized to 0 as the array index starts at 0. It should go till 11, that is 1 less than the length of the array. So we will put the condition as I less than month days dot length. Month days dot length gives us 12. I should be less than 12. So I will increment till 11 and after that the loop will stop. I will be incremented by 1 in each iteration. Inside the loop, I will print the elements of the array like this. Let me comment out these lines again and run the program. We have successfully printed all the elements of the array using a for loop. But this output is not as pretty and verbose as the previous one. I want to get the same output as before, but with this simplicity without having to use 12 println statements. How can we do that? If I create another array to hold the names of the month, then I should be able to do it. Let me show you what I mean. I have defined another array month names to hold the names of the month. Now let's try to change our original println statement to take the month names from this newly created array. I will replace this 0 with I. Next, in place of this January, I will use my newly created month names array to get the names of the month like this. I will remove these statements. I don't need them anymore. Now when I execute my program, I get the same verbose output as before. By properly using arrays, we simplified this program to this. The indexes of these arrays, month days and month names, range from 0 to 11. What will happen if I try to access an out-of-range index like 12 or 13 or -1 or -5? I am trying to access the element at index 12, but month days array has indexes from 0 to 11 only. The program compiles without errors. Let's execute it now. The program executes, but when it comes to this line, we get a runtime error. The error is telling us that it is an array index out of bounds exception because index 12 is out of bounds for length 12. It means that the length of the array is 12, So the valid range of its indexes is from 0 to 11, and index 12, which we have specified, is outside the valid range. At runtime, Java checks if all the indexes of the array we are trying to access are within the valid range of the array or not. If it finds any violations, it throws this array index out of bounds exception. Accessing an invalid index of the array will cause a runtime error. So far, we have learned how to declare and initialize a single-dimensional array and access its elements using loops. At this point, you will ask that all this is fine, but in our programs, we accept data from the user as input and work on that data. We don't always work on static data like days in each month or month names. Can I store and process the data user enters at runtime using arrays? The answer is yes, and we will learn about it in the next lesson. To quickly recap, we declare and initialize a single-dimensional array like this. General syntax for array declaration and initialization is this. Length or size of the array is the number of elements present in the array. Index or subscript of an array ranges from 0 to array length minus 1. The general syntax to access an individual element of an array is this. Array 3 will give us 4, that is the fourth element of the array. We can access the elements of the array with a loop like this. In this lesson, we will learn another way of creating a single-dimensional array and accepting user-provided data in it. We first declare a single-dimensional array like this. That is, the data type of the array, followed by the name of the array, and then square brackets to tell the compiler that it is an array variable, not a regular variable, and finally end the statement with a semicolon. After this, we use the new operator to create the array and assign it to ARR like this. The general syntax for this is array variable, then equal to sign followed by the new operator and the data type of the array. In this format, we need to explicitly provide the size or length of the array in square brackets, which is this last part. Finally, we end the statement with a semicolon. To summarize, creating the array is a two-step process. First, declare the array. Next, use the new operator to create the array. This first statement just tells the compiler that we intend to use ARR as an int array. It doesn't create any array. After the execution of this statement, ARR contains null, meaning nothing. Remember, I told you that you can think of an array as a row of numbered boxes. This first statement is just defining the name of this row of numbered boxes. The actual boxes are not created yet. The next statement creates these boxes. We use the new operator to create these boxes. We will look at the new operator in more detail when we will discuss classes. We tell the new operator what type of boxes we need and how many we need through the type and size respectively. After the execution of this statement, we have created an int array of 6 elements. We can access its individual elements like before using the subscripted variable and subscript. When we create an array using the new operator, Java automatically assigns a default value to all the elements in the array. This default value is 0 for numeric types, false for boolean types, and null for reference types. Let me show you this default value thing quickly in BlueJ. Here I am creating an int, boolean and string array. Size of each of these arrays is 5. After that, I am printing all the elements of these arrays. Let's execute the program now. As you see in the output, all elements of int array are 0, boolean array are false, and string array are null. Coming back to array declaration and creation, we learned that we can declare and create an array using these two statements. We can also combine the declaration and creation of the array into a single statement like this. Most of the times, we will use this way to declare and create an array. One more important thing. We can use a variable also to specify the size like this. It need not always be a literal. Okay, we have created the array, but all the elements in the array are 0, which is very boring. Let's assign some values to the array elements. We assign value to an array element like this. This will assign the value of 1 to the first element of the array. And this will assign the value of 2 to the second element of the array. Remember from the last lecture, the index of the array starts at 0, not 1. Similarly, we can assign values to other elements of the array.